Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning for whoever you're joining me. Thank you for your time, and we'll kick off with today's chapter 50, Likutei and Tanya. So, by means of a quick introduction, in the previous chapters, the Tanya discussed various levels and forms of love of God, each of which can inspire one to study Torah and observe the mitzvahs with increased enthusiasm. Chapter 50 discussed different forms of love. The ultimate aim of every love of God is to serve Him through fulfilling His will. Excuse me. The Torah and the mitzvot as a result of the inspiration of this love. All these forms and levels of love of God thus express the desire and longing of a Jew to become joined with God. The word from your father's home is, in the quoted verse, refers to the level of Chokhmah, which is called Abba, literally father. This is also the connection with the term Kesef, Kadoshim, for in the Zohar, Chokhmah is known as Kodesh, holiness. As explained in the introduction to this chapter, all these forms of love come under the category of chesed, which is an outgrowth of chachma, literally wisdom. For they directly inspire one to observe the Torah and the mitzvot, which derive from divine wisdom. This superiority subsists not in degree or intensity, but rather in quality and character. This is not just a quantitative superiority in that gold, in the analogy, is worth more than silver. A small quantity of it fetching a higher price than a large quantity of silver. The superiority of gold lies in the fact that the most refined type of gold possesses a captivating luster, which glistens in the eyes of the beholder, as explained in the Zohar 5. All types of gold are related to this type. Silver, on the other hand, does not possess this quality. And the same distinction exists between a form of love described in this chapter, which has the characteristic of thirst and rapturous expiry into godliness, and other forms of love which do not have this quality. This is a love like glowing coals of fire, a burning love, unlike the aforementioned forms of love, which are essentially like water, for the soul is drawn with a yearning toward God, like water which flows and is attracted in a certain direction. The arousal of love comes about through meditation on the greatness of the Infinite One, for whom all is considered as absolute nothingness. Thus the soul becomes inflamed and flares up toward the precious splendor of his greatness in order to gaze upon the glory of the King. This is the content of this love. From this, the soul comes to a thirst, just as in the physical domain one becomes thirsty when the element of fire predominates. So in the spiritual domain too, the ascended and divine soul's element of fire creates a thirst within the soul. As it is written, my soul thirsts for you. Then it reaches the level of love sickness, where the soul is sick with love of God. Just as an unquenched physical thirst brings on a state of sickness, one translation of Bazak is a crucible for refining gold, in which the fiery flames flashes forth and immediately withdraws. In Ezekiel 1:14, the angels called Chayot run to and from Moshav, like like the appearance of the Bazak. Likewise, the love of God we are discussing in this chapter first experiences Vatso, a state in which the soul surges as if it's about to expire. Then it comes Shov, as is written in the Sefer Yetzirah, if your heart runs, return to one. In other words, when your heart undergoes Kalot Nefesh, expiring into godliness, then you should return to the one, withhold yourself from this course, and return in order to bring the revelation of God's wonders into the physical world. At this point, we realize Kalot Nefesh is not the divine intent, but which is rather the soul remain in the body and observe the Torah mitzvah, thereby revealing the one, God's unity in the world. The order of one's divine service to occupation with Torah study and mitzvah, the service derived from this intense love, is possible only in a matter of retreat. And when the soul withholds itself from inspiring in order to fulfill the divine intent, it's going to be realized when the soul remains within the body. Excuse me. From this saying, despite yourself you must live, we learn that in our service of God we should, in the first instance, desire the opposite of staying alive, and that remaining alive within the body has to be a perforce against our will. And from the second saying, despite yourself you must die, we learn that we should desire to remain alive, that the opposite of life and nefesh should be the opposite of our will. If so, the question arises, what then should one's desire be? We can understand this according to which has been explained above. First, one must come to the point where one can arouse it within oneself, such intense love of God that one desires clothes and nefesh, while remaining alive despite oneself, only because fulfilling God's will, that one with godliness and his wonders in the world. This is the meaning of despite yourself you must live. Afterward, though, when one is already in a state of retreat, then one should once more aroused within oneself a love of God that surges ever forward in Likutei nefesh. In this way, one interjects into the state of retreat into the world a higher spiritual quality. Furthermore, in this state of withdrawing back into the world, one can possibly be drawn down into the lowly mundane matter affairs. To restore this possibility, one should once more arouse within oneself the state of running forward, loving God to the extent of Likutei nefesh. This is the meaning of despite yourself you must die. I against your will, which is now a state of retreat, the very opposite of Likutei nefesh, which is expiring and leaving the body. This means that when one's love for God is searching forward into Likutei nefesh, one forces oneself against one will to remain alive within the body, in order to reveal down here in this world, in the life of life, the divine source of life to the world. Hope this makes sense. In a very small nutshell, that means instead of wanting to expire, the importance is stay existing and fulfill God's will. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave in the chat box, and please feel free to subscribe. I wish you all the best. Have a very good week. Bye.